Before I start this, I want to take a moment to dedicate this anniversary special and this whole celebration to Declan John Gilgallen and Rick Pepito, two men who contributed to this show in immeasurable ways. Declan with his music that I still use to this day, and Rick helping me write season 3 and keeping my passion and my love for X-Men going and continuing to be my partner for season 3. You guys will be missed, and this show, going forward, will continue to be in your honour, and I hope we do you proud. In May of 2014, after coming out of the blockbuster movie X-Men Days of Future Past, I had an idea. Earlier in the year, in February, I'd released my first audio drama, where I'd advertised on a website that was then called castingpro.com for actors, where I just said, hey, I can't afford to pay anybody, but if you want to be in this production, I'm going to do a fan adaptation of Star Trek. It's going to be set on the Enterprise B, all that kind of stuff, just as something fun. I'd been to university, I'd been to college where I'd learned script writing and media production and how to get these kind of casting calls out there. And I got a core team. And now cut forward to May, June, my X-Men fandom had reached kind of a zenith. I'd read all the X-Men comics about 5 years earlier, and so I was really super into X-Men, and I'd always believed that that's the best version of an X-Men series. Why was it never made in my mind? Should be a series that in season 1 was the first class. Season 2 was the all new, all different. Season 3 would then go on to be where Rogue and Kitty Pryde and all those would come in, and so forth and so forth. Follow the original X-Men continuity as it was laid out in the 616 Uncanny X-Men comics, and just modernise it. Do what the graphic novel, which inspired me to do this, X-Men Season 1 had done, and translate these stories to a modern day, and tell these stories in a way that I feel would be the best X-Men TV show ever. And then I came to a realisation. I have a cast from this Star Trek audio drama that I'd done. Why don't I just make that show? Fan films and stuff like that had been around for a long time, and I decided I wanted to do audio dramas when I tested the water with this Star Trek one earlier in the year. And while it may not be my best work compared to what I've done since, it was a good starting point. From there, I got Omni Rose, I got Natalie Winter, I got Steve Chesterton, I got Sam Devereaux, Jason Rivers, a lot of the core people who I would then ask if they wanted to be involved in the X-Men series, who they would want to be. They went on to be, the narrator, Xavier, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and of course Beast. Now, Steve was a big part early on of helping me really hone my skills. He helped me discover Adobe Audition, where I could do noise cancelling and things like that. And obviously, early in the day, when it was much more amateur voiceover stuff, that was much harder to do, but I got used to noise cancelling and stuff like that. and eventually my skills had got to a certain level when we headed into the summer of 2014. So I decided, hey, if nobody's doing this X-Men show, and at that point Marvel were not doing anything with X-Men, it would not for another 10 years, why don't I make that show? So I did. I decided to make a full cast audio drama, kind of inspired by the graphic audio dramas. I'd listen to those, but those tended to do, one story, two stories. They do single issues. They do, let's do Days of Future Past, and we'll tell it in like a 5-part series. And those were fantastic. They were professional, officially licensed, all that kind of stuff, but nobody had ever done it where they're going to follow the timeline as it was in the original books. And so, I wrote the scripts. I already had this idea in mind for years about doing it as a fan film, but now with the audio drama format, I could do whatever I wanted to do, because the only limitations were what was in people's minds, so long as the scripts were good, the dialogue was good, the audio was good, the music, everything else was at a certain level, then you could create the movie in people's mind, and I could go to wherever I wanted to. I wouldn't have to worry about limitations of budget and things like that most fan films do. And I obviously knew I could put it out on podcast feeds and stuff like that, because I'd done podcasts for several years at that point, which is where I got my audio skills to make these audio dramas in the first place. So, as the summer progressed, eventually, on July 24th, 2014, X-Men the Audio Drama Season 1, Episode 1 launched. It was opened with a cover of the opening theme made by Declan Gilgallen, and then 14-year-old boy who auditioned to do a cover of the theme over on the casting website that I got the cast from, where they newly introduced a thing about recruiting crew. I put a thing out there saying, would somebody be willing to do music for this X-Men audio drama? And the additional piece would be to do the opening theme. He did that, and then would go on to do an original score for every episode that we would do in the early days. And in those early days, I only had a part-time job, and the cast were much more available because they hadn't yet gone to a professional level other than Omri. So we were pumping out episodes once a month at that point on a consistent level. And it really, the audience started to grow. It went from hundreds to around 1,000 people that were listening to it. But it was at a level where I was comfortable that people were listening to it, they were enjoying it, the fandom was starting to grow. And going forward, Season 1 was a success. We ended up rolling into Season 2 as planned with all the new cast. I brought on Tyree Peterside, Ryan Lawton, Rex Anderson, along with John Anderson, who had been in the previous season as bit voices. Mr. John, as he's credited, was in the original first episode. He's like one of the random soldiers. But he then became Banshee in Season 2. I brought them in, added them to the cast. I can't forget, of course, about Sarah, who came in as Polaris, and of course John, who was Havoc at that point, who also were added to the team. I brought those guys in, they were added to the mix, and we started doing the Season 2 stories, and everything was going fantastic. I did a Batman Long Halloween spin-off. As we headed into 2015, these shows were at the height of their powers, pumping out at least an episode a month at that point, because I just had nothing else that I needed to put my time into. But as the end of 2015 came along, two things happened. I started experiencing a bit of burnout, and then I also got a full-time job, and I was not used to having a full-time job. So straight away, these things fell to the wayside, and 1 week became 2 weeks, 2 weeks became 3 weeks, 3 weeks became a month, 2 months, 3 months. And I just accepted the fact that I had left X-Men the audio drama behind. I cancelled all my subscriptions for the paid bandwidth and suffered the wrath of people who were still trying to listen to it. It was still available on the Rivalcast feed, who we joined just before the downfall, let's say, before the hiatus. And just like the X-Men comics did in the 60s going into the 70s, we took a break. And honestly, I did not think I would ever come back to it. That was until Power Rangers the audio drama launched in 2018, and I put a post saying, hey, would you guys be interested if I came back? I apologise for leaving you high and dry and not giving you really any explanation apart from burnout or just the fact I'd got a full-time job. Would you guys be interested? And pretty much everybody reacted. Everybody from the original cast, everybody from the original fans reacted and said, yes, we would love it if you would come back. Whatever you're going to do, we don't mind that you're not going to continue X-Men. Just please come back. And that ended up steamrolling into Power Rangers, the audio drama. And as Power Rangers rolled along, there was those voices that I'd heard for 3 years at that point. When's X-Men coming back? When's X-Men coming back? When's X-Men coming back? And I said, okay, look, we left the story unfinished. Let's do the episode that I never completed. Let me get the original audio files for that. I'll do that. Let's see how the reception is. Reception was great. And then I said, okay, right, 6 episodes, a mini-series run. Let's do Dark Phoenix. Let's finish the original story we started. Let's do the Dark Phoenix saga. Let's have Natalie, Omri, and all those guys come back, and we'll finish that story off. We did that. We did those 6 episodes, and they were incredibly well received, incredibly successful, and I enjoyed them, which is the most important part. And I realised that I could do these episodes alongside Power Rangers and not get burnt out like I had before. For whatever reason, the passion had just come back. And with that passion came the desire to just continue with season 3. And I let people know that this show is not going to be like it was. It's not going to come out every month, even every 2 months. It'll come out when I can. It'll be much more kind of a special event when an episode comes out, simply because I already had one series, which was the Power Ranger series, which was the more regular show. But this was kind of the secondary show that I put out when I can, even though it was the more popular one, simply because I was more passionate about Rangers at that point. It kind of ebbs and flows as to which one I'm more into at the time. But my fandom at X-Men had definitely dipped. And I was definitely feeling like I'm doing this because of how popular it is, as much as my passion for it at that point. So I'd let people know it won't be as often. Then the Patreon launched. And then I started feeling, hey, if people are starting to give me money to support me as a creator, I should probably start pumping stuff out a bit more regularly. Now, that obviously, delays always happen due to casts being not unavailable. A lot of them have gone on to, if they haven't left the show, they've continued on the show, but they are not available for months at a time just because of various things in life and also in their professional careers. And I don't begrudge them for that. They've stuck with me through thick and thin. They stuck with me through the hiatus. They stuck with me for all this time, for the last 10 years, and I wasn't going to cut them loose over a couple of months. So yeah, there may be 4 months, 5 months between episodes sometimes, but as long as I still have the passion for it, and as long as you people still enjoy it, I'll continue making it. This show, and Scyther audio dramas in general as a brand, has gone on to be bigger than I possibly could imagine. The YouTube channel is almost at 10,000 subscribers, but that's nothing compared to the podcast listenership, since we've launched on Spotify. We're still on Apple Podcasts like we were back in the day, and all the other feeds that you can find us. People reach out to me all the time and say, they're big fans of the show and things like that. And it's crazy to me that now thousands of you all across the world listen to this adaptation and treat it the way I wanted it to be treated. I wanted to make the definitive X-Men adaptation, and I feel like I've done that. Every character sounds like they're supposed to sound. Every moment hits the way it's supposed to. We've adapted pretty much all the great stories up until the mid-80s at this point. We have done a lot of the most famous stories that have been turned into movies and cartoons and all sorts of other things. I have done everything I wanted to accomplish. My original plan in 2014 was up until Mutant Massacre around this sort of time, and I didn't know that I was ever going to continue. But as people have come and gone, even when cast members had to leave, we've continued on the show, and I've recast, and you guys have been incredibly generous about not judging it, because it is an amateur production at the end of the day, and these people are doing it for free. And if at any point they can no longer commit the time to do this show, then that is up to them. And I will absolutely recast and then continue going forward with a new character. Those original stable of actors have gone on to do great things. Omri was already successful. He's gone on to be even more successful. Natalie Winter has gone on to be a voice director in the video game world especially. I have lost contact with a couple of them. Steve Chesterton, I lost contact midway through the Dark Phoenix saga, and I have no idea what ever happened to him. But I want to thank him if he ever sees or listens to this. He's the one who started me down this path. Well, I had the idea for it, but he was the one who really coached me in audio production. He really helped me learn how to noise cancel and compress and just things that I just did not know going into it, and where to get the software and Adobe and all that kind of stuff. So Steve was fantastic as Beast and then Colossus. And I'm sorry that I lost contact with him. I hope he's okay. All my messages have gone unanswered, but I hope he is okay, because he really is a big part of the foundation of this show. And the same goes to Jason Rivers, who played Charles Xavier. He is still in these audio dramas because he's still Goldar over on Power Rangers. He has done amazing things since. He has obviously gone on to do a lot in the voice world, the acting world as well. He's done in sort of independent films and stuff like that. Robert Pierce, who played Angel, was the basis for what Keith is now doing, really imitating that original voice that he did. Joe Zabierek as Iceman, obviously. Again, all of these people are people who I have cast in 2014 for Star Trek, or eventually brought them on board as I cast for the X-Men series in the summer. So I've lost contact with you three, Steve, Robert, and Tom, but thank you for being the early parts, the early voices for the show. I know, obviously, there was the whole thing of, because I was casting from England, at that point, Casting Call Pro mainly put out the casting call to British actors, so a lot of them were doing an American accent. Omri was an American accent natively, but the rest of them were all putting on accents early on, and in some cases, you can tell, other than obviously Warren, who decided to make British for the kind of voice that we decided to make it more distinct for the audio version. With that aside, I think they all did a fantastic job, and with the foundation of what this show became. Obviously, so Omri, Joe, Natalie, Steve, Robert, and Jason, you guys are the foundation, along with Sam Devereaux, who is still with me today as the narrator, and has gone on to become an audiobook narrator. I suggested to him that he could be the narrator when I was trying to find a part for him in the X-Men show. And, you know, he was second Xavier, and I really decided to go with Jason, but I said, hey, do you want to be the narrator? And he'd done a couple of audiobooks and stuff like that. He's gone on to now, that is his job. He does it for Audible and stuff like that. And you can tell because he is so fantastic at putting emotion and stuff into every episode, every script that I sent him. He is so good. And the fact that he still does this for me, even though obviously he's a very busy man, he still does this to this day. I can't thank him enough for that. Thank you, Sam, for continuing to be part of this show. Same goes to Daniel Earl, who is still Magneto all these years later. A great Ian McKellen impression turned into 10 years. I have only contact with him over email, so I don't have him on social media, so like that, because he's kind of, I think, a very old school guy and a very private guy. But he was gracious enough to audition with Magneto. He was fantastic then. He's continued to be fantastic. He's now, you know, on the X-Men team itself and in every episode. And he is so good as Magneto. So thank you so much, Daniel, for being along for the ride for the last 10 years. And then we go on, of course, to the season 2 cast. We've got, of course, Rex Anderson, who was Wolverine up until recently. Amazing, amazing job. He did some bit parts in season 1, and when he sent that Wolverine to me, I was like, oh my god. Like, you know, I found Wolverine. Like, so many of these characters, either from animated series or just from a voice in your head. Some of them I changed, obviously, like Warren becoming British, but a lot of them, straight the way you hear the voice and you know that's who it is. I know instantly as soon as I heard that audition that he was going to be Wolverine. He was fantastic. And obviously he has now departed, and we brought in Corey, who does just as good a job as Rex did. But obviously Rex set the foundation for the show. Tyree Peterside, still on the show to this day, an incredible Storm. The idea of doing an authentic African accent Storm has never been done in any adaptation other than some of the movies. Did Storm have an African accent? It was important to me to get that authentic and right, and she is so great in the part. She is so authentic as Storm with that voice, bringing the emotion to the character, and the fact she came on board in 2015 is still with me to this day. Thank you so much for that. Same to Ryan Lawton, who came aboard as Nightcrawler. Again, incredible. He has gone on to be a big deal in the voice acting world as well. He's in a lot of video games and stuff like that, but he still does this show because he's thankful that I was one of the first people to give him a voice job, and he just does an amazing job as Nightcrawler. It's mostly sort of the evolution voice, but he does get serious when he needs to, and it is so good as that fun swashbuckler Nightcrawler, but also bringing in that more serious side. He can do it as well. He is a fantastic actor. So thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us. John Anderson, you obviously are no longer with the show, but I'm still in contact with you. Thank you for being Banshee, the second season cast member who we lost in season 3, and I hope to bring back at some point. Again, you were in the very first episode. You were part of that initial ground crew and then went on to be one of the X-Men as Banshee. Again, great job in that role, and thank you so much. There's obviously so many that I have forgotten, or I just haven't mentioned Doris Seitzman. She came aboard in season 1 and went on to be Mystique, but early on she was obviously Hank's girlfriend in season 1. She was one of the early people who was on the show. There's so many others who have been along. Kevin Gaddy, who was with us from back in the day. And then, of course, since the reboot, we brought in more people, like my friend Ty, who plays Rogue. Does an amazing job. They are fantastic as Rogue. Sarah Nightingale just came along as Psylocke. There's been several Kate Prides, originally Jeannie McGuinness, who, thank you so much, Jeannie, again, with me from the early days. She did some early voices. She did Emma Frost. And then she volunteered. She said, I have a teenage daughter who was the right age, around the age that Kitty Pryde was at the time. Before the hiatus, she recorded for that episode. And then when we came back, she obviously was still willing to do it. So Maddie McGuinness coming aboard as Kate Pryde, and of course Jennifer Simmons, who does it now, and both have been incredible in the role. Joey Solis, who obviously was in the Power Rangers show, was biting at my heels to be on the X-Men show. And when I lost contact with Steve Chesterton, he came aboard and took over both of those parts, Beast and Colossus, and does them so well. He is so versatile. You would not know unless you hear it in the credits or some inflections of the voice that he is both Peter and Hank. He is so good in those roles, and he's done other ones in this one. He does Warlock now as well. So versatile, so fantastic, and such a great guy. Thank you, Joe, for being in all these shows and being so great. And there are others, obviously, I'm forgetting. Isabel Wolf, who was Moira up until recently and was the original Scarlet Witch. A lot of the early guys have written a lot of the episodes. Nathan Dunford, guys like that. And I apologise, I haven't got time to name you all. But thank you all so much for what you have brought to this show. 10 years X-Men the Audio Drama and Cypher Audio Dramas has been going. And I never thought it would get to this point. Like, obviously, I thought it would get to a point where it's become sort of a mini job, and it's obviously not become my living at this point, which is why you're still getting episodes, every month or 2 months apart sometimes, and some of the lesser shows fall to the wayside because I've got to focus on X-Men and Power Rangers because they're the popular ones. But yeah, I'm doing my best to do all the shows that I can as quickly as I can, along with wrangling all these cast members and them having the time to do it, along with having a full-time job and trying to sleep at night and have a social life. It is just impossible to keep all those plates spinning sometimes. But thank you so much for all of you who have been with me for this journey. Thank you to all of you who have been fans through this entire journey and have continued to support and were so nice and kind and welcoming and understanding when I took that break and when I came back. So to all of you, thank you so much. And with that said, here's to another 10 years. And I'm going to go ahead and throw to the cast, past and present, who have sent in some of their thoughts. Not everybody had the chance to do it, but for those that have, let's throw to the cast. Thank you, guys. Here's to another 10 years. We'll probably be to the mid-2000s at that point, Joss Whedon.
To me, my X-Men. Hey, X-Men fans! Thank you for tuning in to 10 years of X-Men and Scyther audio drama. I mean, unbelievable, incredible journey, and I could not be more honored and proud to be a part of it and to be voicing this incredible character for so many years. And to be with Carl from the very beginning, from his Star Trek audio drama all the way now to East Haven 8. If you haven't checked it out yet, you really should. It's awesome. And of course, to grow with Cyclops, with Scott Summers as a character from season 1, where he's just a young lad thrust into a role of responsibility and confused about so many things, to now where I think he's even more confused. And all the genes along the way. It's really been truly an amazing experience and a absolute wonderful role and a treat of a role to sink my teeth into. So thank you everyone for listening, for all the years that you have done. And here's to 10 more. Carl, you're awesome. The cast is absolutely awesome. And I love doing this stuff. I love voicing the characters with Scyther audio drama. And yeah, I love it. There's not much more to say. It's been a treat. So thank you, Carl. You are the absolute GOAT of these productions. And, I think the whole cast and crew, and of course, all the audience just want to thank you for everything you've done. So X-Men fans, thank you. And here's to more.
Hey everyone, Natalie Winter here. I just wanted to say a happy anniversary to the X-Men audio drama series, and a huge congratulations to Carl. Like, what you've done over these years has been incredible. So really well done. It was one of the first things I got to work on when I was just starting out doing voiceover, and it gave me just a great experience and a great opportunity as well to playing Jean Grey. Like, I grew up on the 90s X-Men cartoon series, and getting to play in that world and play that character and get to do the Dark Phoenix saga as well was just incredible. So thank you very much for everything you did, and I'm glad that people are still loving the series. Take care.
Hi everybody, it's Tari Peterside. I voiced Storm. I have done for the better part of for 10 years. And I don't think I can adequately say what it's meant to me to voice Storm, because I mean, if you told me 10 years ago, hey, you'll be voicing Storm in anything at all, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's been great doing this, it's been great having the group and everything. It's almost kind of like its own little family, because, when you're an actor, you get so many different like opportunities and projects and everything else, and there's never really anything that you can sort of come back to that offers like stability, or like you feel like, yeah, I'm back home kind of thing. And this has been like my safe haven, I think, as an actor, and I genuinely do love doing it. I really love having it as like a bit of like a safe haven, as a bit of a safe space for me as an actor, just because it's like the entire nature of this profession is just so like you're getting buffeted about all the time by just all the shifting like winds of everything. And it's been wonderful having something and people to rely on. Well, not so much rely on, but just to know that it's like, oh, there's always going to be a certain group of people in your corner. And it's wonderful knowing that. It's wonderful having that, especially because like you can just feel so unmoored in this profession. And it's nice to be able to like partake in all of this stuff. It's nice to be able to get the script and to read it and to like listen to it long after the fact, because it's like we record it like quite a ways ahead of like how people listen to it sometimes, and it's nice sometimes seeing people's reactions like, oh, the latest episode, da, 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 and it's just like, oh, you guys, like, it's genuinely really, it's been lovely. It's been the highlight of my career, I think. It still is the highlight of my career. Like, here's to 10 more years. Are we? Yeah. Potentially, hopefully. Like, I'll probably see you guys back in another 10 years, and at the 20th anniversary, and it'll probably have grown or something else. But it continues to be one of the best things I've ever done.
Hi everyone, this is Sam Devereaux, and I'm the narrator on X-Men, for those of you who don't know me. And good grief, I can't believe that we've been doing this for 10 years and have done, God, what is it, over 35 episodes now. This is an amazing job to have been working on. It's one that I never really imagined that I'd ever do, because although I'm an audiobook narrator, and I've just stopped to let some cold air into my booth so that I can talk to you for a minute while I'm narrating a book, and I'm also an actor, and I had done some work for Carl years ago on a Star Trek show he did called Lost Enterprise. And he got back in touch with me after we did that, which was a lot of fun, and asked me if I wanted to take part in X-Men. And I said, yeah, sure, I love X-Men. I grew up with the comic books, and I'm a big fan. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to do Charles Xavier? Do you want me to do Wolverine? Who do you want me to play? And he said, well, I don't want you to play any characters, but I still want you to be in it. And I said, what do you mean, Carl? And he said, I want you to narrate it. And my first thought was, well, how do you narrate a comic book? And of course, Carl had obviously come to the same conclusion that when you've got a visual format like comics, how do you make it into something aural if the people listening don't actually have any idea what's happening when all the action's taking place? So he wanted me to narrate the action and bring it to life, which was such an interesting job to have done. And I've really loved the mastering the technique, shall we say, of being invisible. Because if I'm doing my job well, the people listening to the show don't even know that I'm in it. Because they're too busy actually just seeing what the script is describing rather than listening to my performance. And if I've done that and people sort of don't notice that there's a narrator because they're too busy enjoying all the wonderful acting performances of all the characters, then I feel like I've done my job. And I know Carl is very patient with me, and I do appreciate you, mate, for sticking with me, because my schedule is often a bit ridiculous, and he sends me scripts and then he waits and he waits and he waits and he politely reminds me, and then he waits some more and he politely reminds me some more, and then normally says to me, Sam, I want to start editing tomorrow, can you get me the recording please? And because I'm the narrator, I normally have about 15 or 20 minutes of recording to do per episode. So that said, when I do finally kind of move all of the other work to one side and actually get to narrate X-Men, it's kind of like being a kid again and watching the cartoon show or going back and reading the Chris Claremont Wolverine, as we did. And I love it. And I'm really, really grateful that I've been able to be a part of it. And I'm grateful that I've been able to listen to all the wonderful actors who bring these incredible mutants to life. I really couldn't imagine more perfect voices for each of them. And I get as much pleasure out of listening to the episode back, not to listen to myself, but to hear what everyone else was doing with the script that I've been narrating around. So although we don't get to spend a lot of time together, I love you all, and I'm really so happy with what we've accomplished. And hell, here's to the next 10 years of X-Men the audio drama. Take care, everyone.
Hello, Carl and Scyther Productions. This is Mr. John, aka Banshee. Very proud to have been one of the X-Men. Don't know if that accent still holds up, but there we go. I really enjoyed my time working with you. You write amazing stuff. You're really easy to work with. It's always fun, always wonderful to chat to you. You've become a great friend over the years. It's always fun to hear what you're getting up to, and I always love reading your scripts. Carl's a really easy director. He just lets you go and do what you want to do and colour the characters in the way you want, with a little bit of feedback here or there to point you in the right direction. I thoroughly enjoyed my time working on the X-Men series, and some of you might not know, occasionally I'll get a message from Carl asking if I could be a New York cop or a South African doctor, because he didn't have an actor who could do those accents, and I've been told I can do a variety of accents. I won't embarrass myself by doing them now, though. Since the X-Men series, I've run my own record label, my IT career's taken off, and I've also started working on a podcast with some guys about my favourite rock band, Faith No More. Also other bands like Mr. Bungle and associated projects. So if you like that sort of music, hit me up, because I do. Anyway, wish you all the best, Carl. Happy anniversary for the X-Men. If you do it ever again, you want Banshee back, I'll be there in a heartbeat, mate. And a really loud scream.
10 years already? That's crazy, Tovarish. I can't believe it either. Happy 10-year anniversary, X-Men the audio drama. It has been such a treat getting to voice Colossus and Beast and Warlock and Tommy Oliver and Captain America. Being a part of Scyther in total has been awesome. Such an awesome experience. I feel like there's no words for it. And it's been such an escape for me from work, like, because I do a lot of editing. I am a voice actor as my job, and I like to get away from the officialness of it all, and I like to just have fun, and that's what these are. These are fun for me. I love getting to be a part of these original takes on these amazing stories like X-Men, Power Rangers, the Avengers. It's like its own universe, and we've dubbed it the Duttonverse, and it's just such a fulfilling experience from my heart because it feels like a family over here at Scyther, and I'm just so grateful to have been a part of it and to continue being a part of it. And yeah, thank you, Carl, for bringing me on as Tommy way back then and giving me the chance to play Colossus and Beast, and eventually more as time went on. So I don't know where I'd be without you, man. All right, happy 10 years.
Oh, guten Tag, meine Freunde. Hey everyone, it's Ryan here, the voice of Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler, in X-Men the audio drama. Now, as you may know, it is our 10-year anniversary, which is crazy. Now, I've been working on the project myself for the best part of 9 years, and it's been such a dream role to play. I love Nightcrawler and always have. He's one of my favourite X-Men. So to have the opportunity to voice him in so many iconic comic book episodes has just been awesome. So firstly, I want to say a big thank you to Carl and the rest of the team at Skype the Podcasts for bringing me on board all of those years ago, and for all of the hard work that you put in to make every episode happen. Now, also to the rest of my cast members who are just insanely talented. I love each week recording solo my lines and then listening to my X-Men family all come together in the episode. And yeah, just hearing the sheer talent that the rest of the cast have, brilliant every time. Now, lastly, and most importantly, a big thank you to you guys, all of the listeners and the fans of the show. It's so amazing to have so much support from so many different people from all around the world for this project, and we hope that you enjoy listening as much as we enjoy recording the voices for these characters. So, happy 10-year anniversary to X-Men the audio drama. With all that said and done, I think it's time for me to exit Nightcrawler style. Bamf! No, still here. I'm working on the teleporting thing, okay? Shall I just... Okay, bye.
Hi, everybody. This is the voice of Cypher. Everything's going well back in the danger room, and I just wanted to pop out here to just say hi, hello. Hope everybody's doing well. In all seriousness, though, like 10 years, Carl, and everybody else at Scyther, this is such a huge accomplishment. Like, big congrats to you. Like, I am so excited, not only for the future of X-Men, but also for the future of anything else that I am wholeheartedly honored to be a part of. Like, the fact that you've put out this already amazing quality in just this 10 years is absolutely unreal. And I can't wait to see what the future holds. So, as the voice of Cypher, who is totally awesome and will totally do awesome stuff in the future, thank you for everything. May the power protect you. May everything go off great. And hopefully one day I will get to ride Joey like a skateboard. Bye!
Hello everyone, I'm Jason Rivers, and I've had the incredible honour of playing Charles Xavier on the X-Men audio drama for the past 10 years. Being able to bring Professor X to life through my voice has been an extraordinary journey. It's been amazing to explore his wisdom, compassion, and leadership, and to share his story with all of you. Over the years, I've come to deeply appreciate the complexity and depth of Xavier's character, his unwavering belief in peace and coexistence, and even in the face of immense challenges. It's truly been inspiring, and it's been a privilege to portray his struggles and his triumphs, and his commitment to a dream of a better world. And working with such talented and passionate people has made this experience even more special. Each episode we've kind of strived to capture the essence of the X-Men universe and bring it to life in a way that resonates with our listeners. And the feedback and support from all of you has been incredible and truly motivating. Reflecting back on these past 10 years, I'm yeah, I'm just filled with gratitude for the opportunity to be part of this project, and thank you for joining us on this journey, for your enthusiasm and your dedication to the X-Men, and here's to many more adventures to come.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Corey Levere, and you may recognize me as the current voice actor for Wolverine in Season 4 of X-Men the Audio Drama. Now, I know we only have a few episodes out right now, but this has been hands down one of the coolest projects I've ever had the chance of being on. And that's saying something because I've had the opportunity to be in a lot of cool projects. Now, I love this project not just because I'm an X-Men fan, but Wolverine is hands down one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters. And listening to his voice change over the years, like getting the opportunity to jump in the booth and interpret Wolverine in my own style and bring him to life with my own voice is it's truly surreal. So I thank Carl for this opportunity and just being able to continue the legacy that has been built over these last 10 years. And with that, I just want to say I know the shoes I had to fill before taking this role. I heard Rex's voice and I heard his take on Wolverine, and it was absolutely fantastic. And it kind of made me nervous, even though this has been super, super fun. I still go into recording each episode just being nervous because I don't want to let the fans down. I don't want to let Carl down. And the legacy that Rex has already built with this audio drama, I just want to keep that going. But so far, you guys have been loving the performance. I've seen a lot of good things about, my voice and the way that I interpret Wolverine, and it really makes me happy. And I'm so happy to just be a part of this awesome audio drama, and I'm hoping that Carl lets me voice Wolverine for as long as he'll let me voice him. I know I've been brought on late into this 10-year run of X-Men the audio drama, but even so, it still felt special, and I'm glad that I get to be at least a small part of it for right now and hopefully for many more years to come. So congratulations, Carl. Congratulations to the fans. You've gotten some awesome content over these years. We're looking to bring you some more. Thank you for your love and support, and thank you for supporting me. And remember to listen to every single episode of Season 4, bub, or you might get a visit from me. Thanks, guys.
My name is Thomas Lee. I've been involved with Scyther since 2020, mainly on the X-Men side of things. I got involved, initially I was just looking for voiceover work, and I saw a post from Carl in a Facebook group looking for people to play the Brotherhood members in the Days of Future Past episode of X-Men. And when I saw Pyro listed there, I jumped at the chance. Pyro has always been my favorite X-Men character, so I had an absolute blast playing him. I hadn't heard of the audio drama prior to that, so once I was cast, I binged the entire series, and I loved it. I've been a long-time X-Men fanboy, and it was great fun to hear the X-Men comics being adapted so faithfully, word for word in some cases, so I was hooked right from the start. Following on from Days of Future Past, I've been hanging around on the Discord and chatting with people. We've got quite a fun little community that it's good to be a part of, and I've been doing background voices in X-Men and occasionally in Power Rangers and East Haven 8 as well. It's just a nice, fun little load of projects for us all to take part of and contribute as we can. My favourite voice role that I've had, aside from Pyro, was playing the Brood Queen in the Brood episode of X-Men. That gave me a chance to, stretch myself and really just go wild with the script, come up with a really fun voice, and yeah, I had an absolute blast playing that. So much fun. My wife described my death scream in that episode as a cross between Dr. Zoidberg and a seagull, and I thought, well, I've got to be doing something right then, huh? And then more recently than that, I've reached out to Carl to offer my assistance with writing scripts for X-Men. And he let me try my hand writing the Mutant Massacre two-parter, which was great fun, hugely daunting, but a lot of fun to write, and it had a very positive response from our little community. The biggest challenge of that was, it's season 4 by that point. There's been 3 seasons already with a very high bar of quality in terms of the writing, so I really pushed myself to make sure that the quality that I wrote for just maintained that and was consistent and, just met the high bar that Carl and Rick and the rest had already set in the past. Hearing the cast bring the scripts to life has been a great experience. I've loved every second of it. And but yeah, no, it's just been absolute blast being a part of this show, this community, and yeah, I look forward to the future of Scyther, whatever it might hold, and continuing to be a part of it. It's been great fun.
Congratulations, Carl, on 10 years of Scyther Inc. Productions, and most especially with X-Men the audio drama, which, I mean, come on, even Screen Rant says it's one of the 10 best, I guess, comic book audio dramas that you can listen to. And hey, if you can't trust Screen Rant, who can you trust, right? Right? Anyway. I will admit I started listening to Power Rangers first and then discovered X-Men and started listening to it. It took me a little while to catch up. What was really funny is I hadn't even completely caught up yet before Carl, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be in X-Men. I was pretty content being on Power Rangers as the infamous Rito, but then you decide to let me join the X-Men cast, and who boy, never would have thought in a million years that I would be playing, of all people, Deadpool. If you had talked to little Nate growing up reading comic books and watching Marvel TV shows and all of that stuff, and you had said, you know what's gonna happen, Nate, when you grow up? You're gonna be Deadpool. The first thing I would ask is, who the heck is Deadpool? And then after I figure it out, I would be like, really? That guy? Yeah, exactly. But I can remember very distinctly where I was. I bumped my microphone. Sorry. When that happened, I was actually sitting in a gaming store playing some tabletop gaming. I think, what was I playing? I might have been playing Magic the Gathering or something with some friends. I'm sitting there, and I get this text message that pops up on my phone, and I look at it, and it's a message from Carl that says, "You wanna play Deadpool?" And I'm like, okay, I guess there's crossover in the skill set for playing Rito and Deadpool, you know? So I said yes, he sent me the script. But then the funny thing was I tarried on actually recording it, because I didn't know exactly when the deadline was, and then it came crunch time, and then I started scrambling to do it. It seemed like at one point, Omri was going to get the role, and then, much like what happened with Rito, I decided to record lines anyway after spending a few months listening to videos of different Deadpool actors and how they sounded and figuring out which version of I wanted to go with and all that. So obviously I listened to Ryan Reynolds, and then I listened to Nolan North, who's been voicing Deadpool a lot in animated projects and video games. But the one I took the most inspiration from was John Kassir, who famously played the Crypt Keeper back on Tales from the Crypt. I liked how he sounded, but I did include some elements of the other two in there. Those were my three primaries. And then I sent that off to Carl, and he was like, after a week, he's like, you know what? You convinced me. And I'm like, great. I just did it again. So I look forward to when Deadpool appears properly on the show and isn't just a post-credit gag, although I have had several offers to play Deadpool in other projects, such as the Red Cornish Rangers audio adaptation of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, which should hopefully be out soon. So just wanted to say thanks a lot, Carl, for... Hey, what are you doing there, Nate? Oh, great. He's worse than Rito. That's no way to talk about the most popular X-Man ever.
No, I think that's Wolverine.
Badger Man, bleep that guy. He's overrated.
You know you've already used that line.
Do you even know who I am?
Yes, I do, you freaking Kevin. You're way...
Carl, if I may talk to you and your lovely listeners, I just want you to know, your little audio drama universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Scyther Jesus.
Okay, that's enough from you. Thanks, Carl.
Hi there, my name is PJ Argento, and I play Caliban in X-Men the audio drama. I initially joined Scyther through the Power Rangers audio drama that we do, being cast in season 2 of that as one of the 5 Shadow Rangers. But it was through there, being a part of that show, that I discovered the X-Men audio drama. And listening to that and hearing several of my my castmates from Power Rangers and that, I was incredibly impressed with how Carl adapted the storylines from the comics and just how good all of the cast in that sounded. So I was very excited when I got the part of Caliban, when I got the chance to join the cast of this show at the Morlock saga. Like I had said in my Mutant Monday blurb about him, I was very intrigued by Caliban's duality, in the sense that he is a character you can both be disgusted by and pity deeply, because, the way he talks about Kitty and feels a sort of sense of entitlement to her is obviously very disturbing. But when you get into his backstory and everything, he's gone through, then you kind of pity the kid. And while play him in this kind of style of Smeagol and Gollum from Lord of the Rings, the main character I was kind of inspired by for him was actually Eric, aka the titular Phantom from Phantom of the Opera, in that he does all these horrible things, but you still kind of pity him to a degree because of his very painful backstory. But yeah, so I just want to say congratulations to Carl and to the rest of the cast for 10 years of X-Men the audio drama and 10 years of Scyther audio dramas overall. I'm really honored to get to be part of this, and I can't wait to see where things go from here.
Hi there, this is Shane Cochran. Mostly for Scyther, I am probably known for voicing Saba and Chad Yeager, but for X-Men, I have also had the great pleasure of voicing Corsair and a couple little background things every now and then, but most recently, voicing Sabretooth, something I normally would not have been able to do in my life. He is one of my 2 favorite Marvel villains. The other one of which I also get to voice for one of the shows coming up. Stay tuned for that. But what it means to me to be part of this cast, anything for Scyther Audio, really. Carl has done just such an amazing job, and the people that he has helped him do such an amazing job, and the casts are amazing. The people are the best part about it. Carl's genius in bringing X-Men to an audio drama that follows the comics and that people love, and I can recommend to people with pride and say, hey, listen to this, and then get to say, and I'm a part of this now. It's absolutely amazing. Everybody has become like a second family to me. It has given me almost a sense of, I wouldn't want to say a sense of purpose, but it gives me something I can do. It's an escape from the stresses of life. It's my favorite thing to do now, honestly. It's my biggest hobby is voice acting, and that is thanks to Carl. But for X-Men, yes, absolutely fantastic. And I would not give up the experience for anything in this world.
Hello everyone, this is Oscar Stevemy, and I play the character of Roberto da Costa, aka Sunspot, and Mr. Sinister on X-Men, the audio drama. Wow, 10 years, huh? I can't believe that this show has been going on for 10 years. That is fantastic, and it's an achievement worth celebrating, I think. Hopefully, it will continue on going strong for another 10 years. Who knows? We might be doing Age of Apocalypse by then. Fingers crossed, am I right? When I think about my time on the show, I realize that it's been a crazy journey. 4 years ago, I started out as a fan of the show who eventually got lucky enough to join the cast on this amazing adventure. As an X-Men fan, this project is a dream come true. I can't believe that I get to contribute and lend my voice to a show that is basically a love letter to the stories and the characters that have meant so much to me since I was a kid. That's basically what this show is in a nutshell. It's a love letter to everything X-Men, not only from the comics, but also from the various shows and other media from across the decades, which is a beautiful thing, to be honest. And of course, it is a privilege to voice some of these iconic characters. I've been a fan of Mr. Sinister since I was a kid. I always thought that he was one of the coolest and scariest characters of all the X-Men villains out there. And he still is in my book. I love that I get to voice a character that is just such an evil bastard who knows that he's an evil bastard and revels in it. I've always found villainous roles are very fun to play, and I always have such a blast whenever I get to voice him. Now, as for Sunspot, I wasn't as big of a fan of him to begin with when I first got the role, but over the years, I have grown to love Roberto more and more. I think he's a fantastic character, so full of life and youthful energy, with a heck of a temper, and I love playing the hothead because I love being able to scream every once in a while. It's very cathartic. And to this day, I still find it very funny that the guy who did the best Brazilian Portuguese accent is the guy from Sweden. Yeah, life is funny sometimes. I won't lie. Now, moving on, I would like to take the opportunity to also thank a bunch of people. First off, thank my fellow castmates who not only are astonishing voice actors, but are also, without a doubt, the nicest people that I've ever had the privilege to work with. I count myself as incredibly lucky to have gotten to know such talented people during this project. I'm always amazed to hear your vocal performances, and I feel very proud of what we have managed to create together. But, of course, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the efforts of our uncanny showrunner, producer, and friend, Carl Dutton. Thank you so much for all that you do, Carl. You're the one who carries this entire project on your shoulders, and that, in my book, makes you the true juggernaut of this show. So again, thank you for all that you do and for giving me the opportunity to follow you on this journey. And finally, I would like to end by thanking all the fans, both new and old, who have been following the series for all these years. Thank you so much for all your support. This show wouldn't be what it is without you. Now, with all that said, let's put our hands together, raise our glasses, and celebrate like it's 1997.
And now, the annual Geneathon. Gene! 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 Gene!
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Gene! 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 Gene!
And I am Lord Zed. What is this nonsense?
Gene.